The future of work, as we know, is uncertain. And I think organizations of all sizes, of all descriptions, are really grappling with whether or not to return to the office. And if so, when? And how does one do it? Is it going to be hybrid? Will we be grateful to get away from all of the home distractions of children and pets and noisy neighbors? Well, to get a better understanding of what happened next, we've invited someone who thinks very deeply about these issues, Georgina Barrick, who's MD at Network Contracting Solutions. It's AdvTech's resources contracting division. Welcome to Business Talk, Georgina. Often we think of AdvTech in terms of the education space, but this is an important division inside the group. Now, we know that COVID and lockdowns have really just fundamentally shifted how we live, work, play, school our children, shop, all of that. What does normal look like post the pandemic in the workplace?
Yeah, so Michael, thanks for having me. I think that you will have noticed probably as much as we have how the conversations have shifted from that phrase we were saying, oh, when we go back to normal. There is no normal anymore. There was an old world, as we now referring to it as a BC, before COVID, and this new world. There is no normal. This is our normal. And, you know, you've touched on the element of people wanting to return to offices or not return to offices, because there is a big tribe of people who've really enjoyed working from home. And I think it depends what your role in an organization is, what your skill sets are. But we are seeing a trend with our clients who have moved the conversation from we don't have a work from home policy to, oh my goodness, we're all working from home. How do we adapt? What do we do? How do we lead people? How do we hold them accountable without being micromanagers? To, okay, we're never returning to work. We're all going to work from home now. To, oh my goodness, and actually that's not working either. We need a hybrid model. Yeah. Because, I mean, I think fundamentally, you know, human beings are social creatures. It's hard to conduct business entirely over Zoom or Microsoft Teams, whatever tool you may be using, and that you miss a lot of those water cooler conversations, the collaboration, which is actually so important in a 21st century world. And organizations are looking at, you know, how do we look at a more hybrid model? How do we still bring people together? How do we allow them to collaborate both online and in person to get the best possible results in a world that fundamentally changed? I mean, and it's not going back.
It resonates with the conversation I was having with the CEO of FirstRand, Alan Purlinger, and he said he can't wait for certain parts of his business, certain teams in sales, for example, to get feet under desks again. He says it's so difficult onboarding, building culture inside a business virtually via Teams and Zoom. So it really is dependent on what part of the business you're talking about. And you've picked up on 6 trends that are emerging currently. Yeah. And it really is hybrid, as you've said, as a default kind of approach. Can you just talk us through what these trends entail?
Sure. And Michael, we've identified 6 at the moment. I'm sure there are many more. And as time evolves and organizations evolve in their response to this post-pandemic world, we'll see more trends coming through. But certainly hybrid being one of them. I think we are noticing with our clients definitely a move towards flatter organizational structures. So, you know, it's easier to manage an organization in a hybrid model where there aren't layers upon layers upon layers of within structures. Yeah. I think what's more important in an organizational structure is particular skill sets that you require to deliver on objectives. And that brings me on to one of the other trends, which is the continued rise. It's not new, but it's a continued rise in the non-permanent workforce. Now, of course, this is something that's very dear to my heart. I mean, I run a contracting business, and this is a business that provides contract staff to organizations, so non-permanent. That's what we're really talking about. And we've seen a dramatic spike in the South African market in the last 18 months as organizations have evolved into a more digital cloud-based solution for their organizations and what skills they needed to rapidly deploy to be able to meet those demands and which projects they needed to fast track. And then suddenly you didn't have those skills in your business. So how do we find them? And do we want them long-term, or do we want to buy them for a short-term project, deliver? I mean, let's take, for example, I use an example. Let's say checkers, 60-60. 2 years ago, not a solution. They were offering, I think they saw an unbelievable gap in the market and brought a solution to the market at a critical time when people actually didn't want to go to the shops. And how could you get goods into your home in 60 minutes? So now, that's an evolving solution, but the platform's been built. So maybe you don't need the same skills anymore. So you wanted to buy them. So that's obviously a trend. As I say, not new. And it's a trend we're seeing globally, but definitely has spiked up in South Africa. I think alongside all of these projects that people are trying to execute, we are having to understand the mental and emotional impact of the last 18 months on our staff and on talent. So two aspects to this. We are talking globally about things called the Great Resignation. South Africa is not seeing it to the same degree, but it will come. And it's not about people leaving the country per se. It's about people changing jobs, or because they've rethought or reimagined their career and what's important to them.
And also, Georgina, if I can just interject on that point, I do think it's very important for managers of companies to be aware of how they manage their staff working at home, because what I like to say is you're not really working from home, you're living at work, because you roll out of bed, the office is right there, the temptation is to log into the email first thing in the morning, and then you pretty much tethered to your office for the rest of the day until 9-10 o'clock at night, and before you know it, that becomes the cycle: rinse, wash, repeat.
Absolutely.
And that is unsustainable.
Absolutely. It is, Michael. And I think the other thing to be cognizant of is that we are not Europe or the US and we don't have the bandwidth or the unlimited bandwidth from just a sort of technical connection point of view that first world countries have. So a lot of our staff who live possibly more informally are not plugging into fiber to sit on Teams meetings all day. So we need to be actually very aware and very alive to the fact that we have inequalities. And I know just personally, leading a sales team in a lockdown period, many of our meetings ended up being without video because we needed to be cognizant and respectful of other people's situations. So that not everybody could have, 4 or 5 hour team meeting. They can't. Or team discussions will always be on. And I think that's another layer of complexity that we face in South Africa. But I think that the pace we've been operating at has been unsustainable. And so we're seeing more and more articles, more and more organizations addressing mental health and mental wellness, because being locked in your home for a period and working from home for a period has been very tough on many people. And I'm going to put my hand up as a mother to say that when you have children who are being homeschooled and are running around you when you're trying to execute on particular business objectives is tough. And you have other home-based responsibilities. That's not to say that men don't have those responsibilities, but I'm particularly highlighting that it has been tough for women, particularly if you're a single mom and you've got children and you've got responsibilities and you're trying to juggle all of these things. And to your point, then, your work day is not an 8 to 5 work day. It's an 8 to 5 stop, pause, second job, family, regain first job at 8-9 o'clock at night. So there's a definite move around understanding environments to create structures and support systems to make your teams sustainable from both a hard skill, because that'll lead me on to one of the other trends, both a hard skill and a soft skill space. So we now are seeing a trend that skills development is critical for everybody, because the skills that we needed 2 years ago, and I'm not only talking about hard skills, obviously soft skills, are suddenly not as relevant maybe. One, from a hard skill perspective, the unbelievable pace at which businesses have had to evolve has meant you need more hard skills.
You need to be your own IT department at home.
100%.
If anything goes wrong, you can't wait for
but if we suddenly developing a new app so that our business has remained relevant, we suddenly need these skills to develop those apps. we also need the soft skills that say, goodness, I've now got to connect with people and I've got to motivate and drive and retain people on a screen. It's really tough. It's really, really tough. So as a leader, you've had to develop a whole different set of skills to still retain and engage and motivate and manage and lead and not micromanage and empathize with a team. And those were maybe not skills you had to have in the degree you have to have them now. And so organizations are having to train and retrain and give access to development across a broad range of people now.
And do this remotely. I mean, you're not just bringing people into the office for training. You've now got to do this remotely.
No, we're not, because you're not learning. In an office, you can learn by osmosis. It's a lot easier. Whereas at home, a lot of that osmosis is missing, because I'm not shoulder to shoulder with you. And I'm not saying, oh, that was a good way to do that. Sure, I must remember that. Put it in my little skills bank. We're losing that. So it's a really complex space. So I think then, to summarize what we've been talking about, we're talking about definitely a hybrid model. Work from home, but also come back to the office. And resonating with what you were saying, the CEO of FirstRand was saying, we're saying the same thing. Very hard to manage sales teams remotely. Very hard. Because I know in my environment, when we make a sale, there's a vibe. We're ringing bells. People are celebrating. Money machines are going off.
Personality type. There's a personality type. Extroverted, likes to go out, likes to meet people, interact with their own team.
Noticed, pat it on the back. Well done.
Yeah.
Hard to do that over a computer every day and generate the same level of excitement. We're talking about continuous development and learning now. How do I now cope with this new world, which is the new normal? We are saying that there may be some staff turnover, and that's actually more about people reevaluating their lives and their careers. That we've been under immense pressure. What is important to me? What do I really want to be doing? What blows my hair back? And how do I want to do it? Because maybe I am a very highly skilled Java dev, and actually I'm very happy working at home. Actually don't want to have all these people around me. I love this. And so contracting is a beautiful world for me. And it means I don't have to, I can do it from my house. It's wonderful. I love it. I can develop, can deliver, I can move on. And we are seeing a lot of international companies suddenly looking in South Africa for skills, which gives these contracting guys an opportunity to work on international projects, and not leave the country. So that's definitely something new.
And it's something we picked up on just in terms of business process outsourcing with Andy Searle, recently chatting to him about us ranking #1 in the world. It's a currency cost competitiveness thing. It's
absolutely
a time zone thing. It's a skills thing. All of those.
It's a language thing.
It's a language thing. All of those. Yeah. So there is a big opportunity.
Yes, definitely. We're seeing the same thing. We're seeing obviously the rise of the non-permanent workforce, which we've spoken about, and then people just reevaluating the pace and the number of projects you can effectively deliver on to make your business relevant and sustainable in this new world.
And, that speaks to flexibility, though. So obviously, you need to be mindful of that as an organization. There's going to be a high rate of churn and staff turnover. But also, if we're moving to a more non-permanent workforce, it provides you with the flexibility to take on projects as and when they become available. And also, in an uncertain environment, it's very difficult to plan out into the future. So that flexibility becomes an important lever with which to manage. Absolutely. And in a lot of organizations, then they're also, when they're wanting to manage a permanent headcount, bringing in non-permanent independent contractors to deliver with skills you don't have is key also to the longer term sustainability, both from a cost structure and obviously from a skill structure. Speaking of skills, I mean, just the other day, we had the announcement that Vikesh Ramsunder, the CEO of Clicks, has resigned to take up a position in Australia. There are often articles on business tech about the dwindling middle class. If you look at the SARS tax numbers, is immigration a big challenge? Is it something that you're confronting at the moment?
So, we're not particularly researching that. We're actually looking on the other side. I'm looking more for opportunities where internationals are coming into South Africa. Honestly, my view is we've been talking about immigration since 2008. People come, people go, people leave, they come back. New talent is coming. So for me, this is less a conversation about skills leaving and immigration rather than a conversation about opportunities actually in South Africa and an opportunity for people to reimagine their careers and the kind of relationships they've had with organizations. So it's not, I join a company and I'm staying here for 7-10 years. Actually, the contracting world gives you wonderful opportunities to enhance your skills, chase the tech, and even work with international companies, but stay in South Africa.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm picking up chatting to Peter de Villiers of Clickatel. They're working on this whole tech skills development and roadmap, saying, are the SETAs fit for purpose, to your point around continual development? How do we as business take the lead here? We can't sit and wait for government to reform the skills levies and all of that. We've got to invest in our people. But if we do that, we know there is a huge opportunity if we divert some of our spend into employing local contract workers rather than sending that work to Southeast Asia or elsewhere.
Yes.
And that really is a big theme. And I really like the way you frame that, because it is an opportunity. Yes, we see some people immigrating, but again, I think that means more opportunity locally. And I'm one of those.
People leave and people come back. I've got guys who are contacting me every day who are overseas to say, believe it or not, I want to come home.
Yeah.
Have you got something for me? So it's as I say, it's a conversation we've been having for a long time, and it's Well, we prefer to look at how we can create opportunities here.
I love that attitude, and that's certainly why I'm in the country as well, looking for those opportunities and looking to grow South Africa. Georgina Barrick, thank you very much, MD at Network Contracting Solutions, which is AdvTech's resourcing contracting division. Great insights into the trends around the future of work here on Business Talk. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.